Marshall in the bullpen along with Chuck Taylor. Renko working from the windup on Hutton. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Foul tip at the plate. It was just tipped by Hutton. He still has life, 2 strikes. That ball was in the mid of Bobby Stinson and popped out. Hutton, left-hand pinch hitter. 2-strike pitch. Missed inside. Renko wanted the 3rd strike called. He just reached up and held his head with both hands. You can feel the pressure here. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Hutton. Infield back, outfield deep to the right. Here's the windup by Steve. The pitch. Missed inside again. 2-2. The last 2 pitches couldn't have been more than an inch or 2 off that inside corner. Bob Boone's the runner at third. The man that counts is Hutton. 2-2 pitch. It's high, ball 3. 3-2. It's come down to that. 3-2, 2 outs in the 9th. The pitch to Hutton. Low and in, bounced away from Stinson. Hutton races to first. Boone holds at third, and the Phillies have runners at first and third. A walk to Hutton, and Denny Doyle will be the batter. The Phillies' second baseman coming up here got an infield hit in the 8th. He's 1 for 4.
The second baseman, Denny Doyle.
That puts the potential tying run at first with 2 down in the 9th. Time call. Bobby Wine, the first base coach, bringing Hutton off, and we'll get a pinch runner, Billy Grabarkowitz, to run for Hutton. So Grabarkowitz is running. Doyle, a left-handed batter. Renko not out of this yet. Expos leading 4-2. And in case you've just tuned in, once again, the Pirates have been beaten. The Cardinals beat them 7-3 in St. Louis this afternoon. When you think back to that 2-strike pitch, which was just tipped by Hutton, that Stinson did not hang on, then Steve walked him. Here's the pitch to Doyle, and a strike call. Boone just a very short lead off third. The 1-strike pitch to Doyle. Outside, ball 1. Grabarkowitz, of course, trying to take as much of a lead as he can at first base. The outfield straightaway, not too deep. Mayshore, Day, and Singleton. Here's the 1-1 pitch. In tight and ball 2. 2-1. Steve Renko flexing his right arm. Hands on knees now. Looks down for the sign. Here's the 2-1 pitch. A swing and a chopper. Alou has it. He steps on the bag. The ball game is over, and the Expos win it 4-2. And they're a half a game out. A pressure-packed ball game for Renko, particularly here in the 9th. For the Phillies, no runs, no hits, no errors, 2 left. The final score, the Expos 4, the Phillies 2. We'll have the totals in a minute. 3 errors. They left 5. The Phillies, 2 runs, 5 hits, 4 errors, and 9 men left on base. Steve Renko, the winner, 14-10. Jim Lundberg, the loser, 13-13. 18,122 to see the game. The Expos rallying for 3 runs in the 8th inning, and the Phillies couldn't come up with a big play, committed 3 errors in the inning. It was not the kind of game we've been seeing recently with particularly sharp defensive play. Cold, chilly afternoon, not to make excuses for any of the ball players, the Expos or the Phillies, but a cold day and the infielders having trouble. Their throws were not accurate this afternoon, and it was the throwing errors that really led to so much of the scoring in the game. As for Steve Renko, On the pitching side, he was very sharp. Gave up 5 hits this afternoon, but 4 of the 5 hits were infield hits. To Tovar in the first, Doyle and Robinson in the 8th, and let's see, Unser back in the 6th inning with an infield hit. The only solid single that got into the outfield was Bob Boone's base hit in the 4th inning. Well, the Expos win it 4-2, and of course, when you're in a race like this, and it's the 16th of September, you don't worry about the fact that there were 7 errors in the game. When teams are having trouble making the big plays, the only thing you're worried about is just winning the ball game by hook or by crook any way you can, and that's what the Expos did here this afternoon. They got some breaks, but they took advantage, and they won the ball game, and that's what counts. That is the club's 74th win of the year. They're a game over the 500 mark, 74-73. The Pirates are 74-72, so the Expos just 1 game back in the loss column, just a half a game behind in the games behind department. Now the Cardinals won, so they move up also. They're just 2 games back, and we'll be checking that and the other scores a bit later. I'll have more on the wrap-up in just 1 minute. A 4-2 win for the Expos this afternoon. The paid attendance, 18,122. The Phillies lose this series 3 straight to Montreal. The Phils have now lost 9 of their last 11 ball games, while the Expos increased their win streak to 5 straight, and they've won 13 of their last 17, and they're 12-4 now since getting back into competition in the Eastern Division. Some strikeouts that were very big for Steve Renko today. He fanned 7, and we'll take just a quick look at those strikeouts. He struck out Luzinski and Robinson with 1 out and a runner in scoring position in the first inning after Tovar had scored to make it 1-0. In the second, with runners at first and second and 2 down, he struck out Tovar to end the inning. In the 4th inning, with 2 outs and runners at first and second, he struck out Lonborg to end the inning. So there are 4 key strikeouts among the 7 that Steve fanned this afternoon. A 4-2 win for Montreal. Steve Renko standing by with Russ Taylor, so stay tuned. We'll be right back with today's stars and scores.
Steve, as I take a look at the scorecard, if you could erase some of those cheap infield hits, you pitched a 1-hitter. The only decent hit the Phillies got off you this afternoon was the line single by Bob Boone.
Bobby hit the ball good, yeah. He got hit a hanging curveball to left field, and the other ones were infield hits, but, they all count, and can't do anything about it. It's part of the game, Russ.
Some of those scrappy little hits that just seem to bounce just beyond your control.
Yeah, over your head or don't quite get to the infielders.
All right, Steve, listeners, I'm sure would like to know, how were you pitching out there? What was your best pitch?
I felt good today, Russ. I had a good fastball early and went to the breaking stuff later in the game when I got a little tired, and had a good curveball today. The wind was helping. Wind was blowing it across a little bit.
That 9th inning went a little longer than it could have gone. That two-strike pitch, I believe, was on Hutton that was tipped. That just prolonged the inning just a little bit.
Yeah, Tommy got just a little bit of it, and then I got a little wild and tried to go a little bit beyond myself to get him and walked him, and then we were in a little bit of trouble.
Steve, you had 7 strikeouts, and you got the strikeouts when you needed them most.
Well, I got Lazinski and Robertson in 4th, I believe it was, or 5th, and then I came back and got Lomberg with 2 men on. So those were 3 big ones for me.
Steve, this was not a warm day. Is this your type of weather to pitch in?
Well, I don't mind the cool weather. It's a little cooler than I like, but it beats that real hot weather.
There were 7 innings today. Do you think that the cool weather may have cooled off some of the fielders?
I think so. I think their hands get a little cold standing around, and then the feel of the ball isn't there, and you might get a little wild throw, or the ball might take off on them.
Steve, I'd like to ask you now about the situation. The Expos, in winning this afternoon, have moved within a half a game of first place in the Eastern Division of the National League. What are your thoughts?
Well, we're looking for tomorrow and playing the Cardinals the first game, and then we'll go to the second one, Russ.
Like you say, just one at a time.
That's the only way to do it.
Steve, a good outing for you, a good outing for the Expos. Congratulations.
Thank you, Russ.
The winning pitcher in this afternoon's game, Steve Renko. Steve, our guest, and for appearing in the post-game show, Steve receives a gift certificate from Mr. Legs. Mr. Legs, the foremost in men's slacks.
On the Major League Baseball scoreboard now at St. Louis, the Cardinals beat the Pirates 7-3. Foster the winner, a save for Rabowski. He pitched in the 9th. And Luke Walker, in relief of Steve Blass, was the losing pitcher. Foster now 13-8. Walker is 7-11. There were 2 home runs in the game. Richie Hebner hit his 22nd of the year in the 7th inning for the Pittsburgh Pirates. That tied the game at the time at 3-3. Then Tommy Agee had the game-winning hit, a home run, his 10th of the year, in the bottom of the 7th that made it 4-3 St. Louis. They went on to score 3 more times in the 8th to put it away 7-3. 2 hours, 9 minutes playing time there, and 31,938 to see the game. A 7-3 win for the Cardinals over the Pirates. Meanwhile, at Shea Stadium in New York, Tug McGraw came on in relief of Kuzman and Parker and picked up the win as the Mets got a run in the 8th inning to beat Chicago 4-3. Locker, the loser, in relief of Hooton. The only home run was a 2-run homer in the 2nd by Ron Santo, his 19th of the year. The Mets had an early 2-0 lead. Santo's home run tied it. The Mets took a 3-2 lead in the 2nd. The Cubs tied it up with a run in the 4th, and the Mets win it with a run in the 8th, 4-3. 2 hours, 30 minutes playing time, 25,681 at Shea Stadium. So the Mets beat the Cubs, and the Cubs remain 5 games behind Pittsburgh. In Western Division play today, in the 9th inning at Cincinnati, the Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds are tied up 3-3. A host of pitchers in the game. Schuler started for Atlanta, House in the 8th, Neibauer in the 8th, and Kloster in the 8th. Grimsley started for Cincinnati, Bainey in the 9th, Hall in the 9th, and Carroll in the 9th. And that one is tied 3-3 with the Reds batting in the bottom of the 9th at Cincinnati. The Reds, of course, have a 5.5 game lead on the Dodgers. A Cincinnati victory and a Dodger loss today might just end it in the Western Division. The Dodgers are down 6-2 at Houston. The Astros scored 4 runs in the 1st inning and 2 more in the 2nd against Claude Osteen. Doug Rowell then came on. Crawford homered for the Dodgers, his 13th. Don Wilson going all the way so far for Houston. And in the 6th inning, it's 6-2, Houston leading Los Angeles. Out west at San Diego, the Padres and the Giants are tied 2-2 in the 2nd inning. Ron Bryant started for the Giants and Bill Greif for the Padres. Padres scored 2 in the 1st, then Dave Kingman hit a home run to account for 1 of the 2 Giant runs in the 2nd. Kingman's home run is 23rd of the year. So they're tied up 2-2 in the 2nd inning. Over in the Americas, beat the Phillies here 4-2. The line score again for Montreal: 4 runs, 3 hits, 3 errors. The Phillies 2 runs, 5 hits, 4 errors. Renko the winner, 14-10. Lonborg the loser, 13-13. 18,122 the paid attendance. Renko, by the way, picks up his 10th career victory over the Phillies. He's 10-3 lifetime against Philadelphia. We finish play for the year with the Phillies with this game today, and the Expos take the series 13 games won and 5 lost of the 18 games. 13-5, 7-2 at Veterans Stadium, and 6-3 against Philadelphia here at Jerry Park. With the Pirate loss, the Expos moved to a half game of first place in the Eastern Division and 1 game over 500. The Cardinals won. They are 2 games behind Pittsburgh and a game and a half behind Montreal. The New York Mets won their ball game. They're just a half game behind the Cardinals and 2.5 behind the Pirates. The Cubs 5 games out, and the Phillies now 10.5 games out. In the West, of course, pending the outcome of that Cincinnati game, if the Reds can win it, the game's tied in the 9th, and the Dodgers lose, and they're down to Houston in the late innings now, 6-2, I believe. The Reds would have a 6.5 game lead there in the West. The Orioles have increased their game over Boston to 7.5 games in the American League East, and of course Oakland and Kansas City playing tonight on the West Coast. The Oakland club will be hosting the Rangers, and Kansas City is at California. Oakland leading the Royals by 6.5.